Some of my first memories of Artie was, it would have been back actually when we started arm wrestling, or maybe just before we started arm wrestling, at the dances in Knoll Road. And at that point we were actually arm wrestling kind of at the dance, which is where we knew that we could go do that.
Probably back in the late 80s, we used to run a lot of tournaments up around the Truro area, and this little guy came out and man was he strong. Big hand on him, and that guy could arm wrestle.
That's it, Artie, that's it! That's it! Artie! Come on, Antenna!
He was so much fun at a tournament, and very small of stature, but he had this great big hand. And it was a huge factor. Guys looked stronger. He wasn't the strongest guy out there, didn't have the greatest technique, but he wouldn't quit ever. And he had this great big hand that wrapping around, you swear to God, you were gripping up with a 250-pound man.
He had thick hands and thick arms and thick wrists, which was really good for him and really bad for everybody else. Yeah, he had so much power in those arms.
Stand up, Artie. Go.
Winner and champion, Artie Macmaster.
Once Artie got the bug to become an arm wrestler, it was nonstop. He would just show up to practice. He's always wanting to learn more technique. How do I get stronger? How can I do this? If somebody's top rolling me, for example, what can I do to stop that? And it was just, his appetite for knowledge was never ending.
Well, there was really two Artie Macmasters. The first guy that came out when he first started, he had all the tools, but he didn't know how to use them. And then when he went away for a while, and then he decided he's going to get into this serious again, and he dropped down, he came back to nationals, and he really started to learn how to arm wrestle, learn the technique, learn to use his strength the way he never used to before. And that's when his arm wrestling really took off. Then he dropped down in weight. He went from 210 down to $143, and he was cruising then. The guys couldn't touch that inside power of his. He was just too strong inside.
Going up against Artie is never fun. It's just not. He has a little bit of a different style than most people, but when he hit the go, there was never a let off. Most people, when they start to arm wrestle, they'll hit, and then there's a bit of a pause. It was never that way with Artie. He started at 100%, and it was go, go, go until somebody's arm went down. And it was uncomfortable, but he did really well with it.
If you beat Artie, you earned it, because he would go right to the bitter end. He would never, ever quit. And with that being said, he'd walk away from the table smiling, laughing, shake your hand, great match, and he'd walk away just, whew, boy, he earned that or I earned that.
You have to have a drive to want to do it. It would be the same as any strength sport. You have to want to do it more than anything. You have to train multiple times a week, different ways. You've got to do strength training, endurance training, cardio training. It's a full body thing. And we certainly did that together. While we were training, and I guess it goes back to one of the other reasons that I really, really enjoyed it with Artie, is he would push you. You would get to where you thought you were done. You couldn't push that weight another inch. And he would just take a little bit of weight and make you do 2 more. So he would drive other people to get better as well. But that's the type of dedication, whether you're doing it for somebody or whether you're doing it for yourself. That's what it takes.
Greg, you go back your elbow up. That's it. Don't move. Stay still.
He would starve himself to get down to a weight class. He'd try to make 143 pounds. So he would weigh in, and then automatic after that, Artie Macmaster became an eating machine. I roomed with him, and I'd never seen him not with food in his hand after he made weight. So by the time he got to the table, he could have been 165 pounds like the next day, day and a half. But it was eating, and he had to get to Dairy Queen to get a Blizzard.
At the Worlds in 2002, that's when I remember Artie the most. And he had trained so hard for that tournament. It was fairly close. It was in the U.S., down in Illinois where the tournament was. And then Artie was focused that day. He never looked stronger. And he was pulling, and he was doing so good. Then he ran into the Brit. And man, they had just a war.
He was facing a guy from Great Britain, and they went back and forth, probably about 3.5, 4 minutes. And Artie ended up winning the match, and I could hear the British coach in the background saying, "He just beat you, but he's finished for the tournament." And Artie came off the stage and looked at me and goes, "He's right. I'm done."
You know, as an arm wrestler, you know after a tough match like that, you know you're done. And there's nothing you can do about it. Once your arm is spent, your forearm blows up your hand. You can't even close your hand anymore because it's just so tired. So, you know, to place up there and show that you can hang with the best in the world, that was really something.
Artie always thought that was the pinnacle for him for arm wrestling. I get to go to the Worlds. Win, lose, or draw, however he placed, he gave it his all, and he had a great time and loved every minute of it.
You'd never hear anybody say a bad word about Artie. Fair arm wrestler, you know, he wasn't up there trying to cheat you or anything like that, like most arm wrestlers are. Artie just got up there, took his grip. So, you know, well respected that way.
He's always smiling, always laughing, great storyteller, and he's just a fun guy to be around and to have at your tournament all the time. I think it's well deserved. I think he's proven himself over the years to be a great ambassador for the sport of arm wrestling, a great ambassador for the area he comes from, and just a truly great guy. And I think you guys are lucky to have a guy like Artie going into your Hall of Fame.
Super proud of him. You know, I don't think I'd find a more deserving guy to go in, you know, from this area to go in the Hall of Fame, you know, when it comes to arm wrestling. And congratulations to him getting into the Nova Scotia Arm Wrestling Hall of Fame this year too. And yeah, super proud of him. Great guy. Couldn't ask for a nicer guy.
Art, I think you definitely deserve what you're getting today. And thank you for the time that you put in with me. It certainly made me a better arm wrestler. And I would do it all again with you in a minute. Congratulations, man.
2019 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, Artie Macmaster.